well, some really good news for me. I had my 2 meetings with the 2 agents, and the one girl, oh my goodness, she was amazing, and she told me I was brilliant, which, like, how could that not be a good sign? And she says that she's opening for queries next month. So there's a possibility, well, I'm going to query her, and so now it's like go time where I'm gonna have to go through my entire book and make sure like it is like absolutely as perfect as it can be, and do those suggestions that she gave me for the query letter, because if I can do that to a level that she's thinking, oh well, this person is a competent person who is able to implement those changes, and she's already given me 2 changes, and she also wanted it to be 200 years. So I've got to change that in the book also. So I've got a lot of work to do. I've got about a month. So because I think it's March right now. Yeah, it's going into March. And she said by the end of March, and she had another point set a month. So I've got to really be done by the end of March, ideally. And I'd already queried her when she was closed, because I wanted to also have that out there because of how she was doing the Manuscript Academy with me, which probably wasn't the best idea, because now I want to make changes that I've already submitted. But obviously emails are date stamped, so she'd be thinking that, but then at the same time it's still not as good as now I know how my book can be. And she was just so encouraging. And the other thing that I found is that fortunately, from doing a few of these videos and from thinking about it over the years, I never really thought about answers to certain questions that she'd asked, but I was able to come up with a fairly on the go answer. She asked me, what was it? Where did the book come from? And I have like so much of a better answer than what I gave. And so basically I told her it was escapism, and it was wanting my parents to live forever, and I was really influenced by Twilight and the thought of eternal characters. So I think that's a pretty good answer. Obviously I've got better ones. So I think that I'm going to really need to do a video on that question, because then it would give me practice in case another agent asks me a similar question, because it's kind of like, well, what inspired you to write this book? This should be like something that I'm really good at answering. So I'm going to do a video on what inspired me to write the book, because I need a better answer than the one I gave, I find. And then the other thing that she wanted is that my book has to be 200, my characters have to be at most 200 years old, like that's when Ever started, because she made the comparison of where were we as a society 400 years ago. Like, we have changed so much in that time, so would it not make sense, and especially with how fast technology is progressing, that we really only need 200 years to get to this point? Or actually less, because it starts like present day. So really extending it to 400 years doesn't even give humanity enough time to develop the technology, because supposedly in my book the technology was developed like now. So it makes a lot more sense. And I've been trying to figure out how old my world was for so long. I wanted to go 400 years because I thought that was cool. But yeah, I'm really thinking that, and also I was able to trace my family back 400 years, so I think that that's really cool. Someone in our family did for one side, so it's really cool to think, oh well, you can go back 400 years, and in the future it's obviously so much easier. So I need to change that through my entire book. So I'm obviously gonna have to read the entire thing all the way through. If I'm gonna do this right, I'm gonna have to read the whole book again, and I'm really going to have to narrow down that narration, that change that I made, And I am also going to have to add more suspense with the updates that we get. So that's what I'm going to be working on, and I need to develop my AI character more. It is too one-dimensional, I find, and it needs, and I'm going to try to draw some inspiration from my daughter, who's a toddler, and sometimes she says things that don't make any sense. Like, she'll be like, oh, I want to go to the Ferris wheel. And I'm like, it's a Ferris wheel, sweetheart. And because like they just don't know because they just got here. So, but then I don't want to copy the character of Data. So basically what I'm thinking is AI, it's kind of like a sociopath where they have a goal, but the goal is the only thing that's considered in the process. So I got this idea from Elon Musk where he was talking about like if we were going to build a road and there happens to be an ant colony right there, do we hate ants as a civilization? Well, no, we're just building a road, right? So I think it's the same kind of approach that I'm going to take with my AI character, because to have them be evil is not necessarily their intention, but their intention is something different, which they themselves perceive as beneficial to them. So I want it to be selfish, because what is the difference between humanity and AI? Is it morality? Well, that would be a good way of bringing that in. So I'm going to make him more selfish and self-serving. Under like the guise of this out of touch with the newness of life, or whatever we want to call it. Like childlike kind of morality where they don't really see the consequences. Oh, and I also have to go over that first chapter again, because that's really obviously the first thing that people see. So I've rewritten it again, and I only have because I'm trying to condense it and make it more straightforward so that, oh, and then the best part was this particular agent, she understood that it was a live stream, and just because my main character is narrating it does not mean that we already know the ending of that they already lived, because obviously this is a live stream. So that was really awesome that she was able to understand what I was doing, and she also pointed out how she loved my unique narrative style, which was very cool. And she suggested that I don't say that it is the only book written as a live stream, because there very may be one in development or one that we haven't heard of, even though I don't think she herself had said that she found a live stream novel. So she was really drawn to that. So I have to say that, how did she word it? It was the only live stream novel that I've heard of, or something like that. I forget the wording, but I'm going to make sure that I put that change in the query letter so that she can see that she can work with me, and that I do make the changes and that I'm competent in doing that. So I have to do that. And I forgot what I just said, so I will rewatch this. What did I just say? I'll just write rewatch. So I have to, oh, it's not the only live stream. Query adjustment. And I also want to make it more clear of how she is reporting the past in the YouTube video. So I need to explain, oh, we're watching a old footage, or we're watching this security camera, or we're watching her body cam, whatever it is that she's using to tell a story, like a YouTube video, how you've got the screen behind, or however it is that it's described per time. I'm going to have to make sure that that's clear. And I like really wanting to send it to a friend of mine to read, but I feel like I still have to make these changes. So depending on how fast people read, I don't think I'm going to be able to get a read through before I contact this agent in a month. I really should have done that already, but I've just been really hard. It's been hard to share because I always wanted to be more and more perfect. And I'd hate for the first sharing to be with, actually it's not the first sharing because of Marina and someone else anyways who's read the book. I'm not able to remember things right now. Richard. So I've had 2 people read my book who are authors, so I know what their idea is. I know which things are not clear, and I'm finding that the things that weren't clear, I was getting the same feedback from other agents that I've gotten feedback from, and it was the same thing, like they didn't seem to understand the live stream element and various things and what the stakes are. I've had that so many times, but this particular agent understood what my stakes were, and it was so, like, it was great, because then I'm like, okay, well, it's not me. But maybe it's because I've made changes that explain what the stakes are since the last time, so that in that case, then those changes are actually working. And then I've also got to take out I specifically wrote in my query letter, the stakes are life and death, and now I'm told that that is a cliche because the last time people weren't understanding what my stakes are. So now they're understanding what my stakes are, but it's too cliche the way that it's worded in my query letter, so I have to change that. And I don't need to mention the market, though. This didn't come from that one agent I mentioned. She didn't even talk about that really. I don't recall. I did take notes, so I'm going to go over my notes later just to make sure that I'm incorporating as many, if not all, of the things that we discussed in that 10-minute meeting. So, yeah, I guess that's what I will be doing for the next month. And yes, so that's the plan. Is there anything else?